The morning mist clung to the evergreen slopes of Mount Cascade like silk scarves. And Marcus Vail couldn't have asked for better conditions. His camera hung ready around his neck as he tracked the movements of a rare golden eagle through his telephoto lens. 3 days into his solo photography expedition, he'd already captured some of his best wilderness shots ever. The screaming sound that tore through the valley changed everything. Marcus spun toward the noise, watching a streak of silver and blue plummet through the clouds. Whatever it was, meteor, plane, he couldn't tell. It crashed beyond the ridge with a thunderous boom that sent birds scattering in all directions. The ground beneath his boots trembled. His photographer's instincts kicked in. This could be the shot of a lifetime. Marcus packed his gear quickly and began the steep climb toward the impact site. His hiking boots finding purchase on the rocky trail. What he found defied explanation. The craft, if it could be called, that had carved a smoking furrow through the ancient pines. Its hull gleamed with an opalescent sheen that seemed to shift colors in the dappled sunlight. Strange symbols were etched along its damaged sides, and a greenish fluid leaked from multiple breach points. But it was the figure sprawled near the wreckage that made Marcus drop his camera. She was humanoid but clearly not human. Her skin held a faint luminescence, pale as moonlight with delicate crystalline patterns that traced along her temples and down her slender neck. Her hair fell in waves of deep violet, and her clothing, what remained of it, appeared to be woven from some kind of metallic fabric. She was dying. Marcus approached cautiously, his emergency first aid training overriding his shock. The woman's breathing was shallow, and a strange blue liquid seeped from wounds on her shoulder and thigh. Her eyes fluttered open as he knelt beside her, eyes like captured starlight, silver with flecks of gold. "Please," she whispered in perfectly accented English, though her voice carried musical undertones he'd never heard before. "Don't let them find me." "Who?" Marcus asked, already pulling medical supplies from his pack. "Who's looking for you?" Her hand grasped his wrist with surprising strength. "The hunters. They destroyed my ship. I can't go back." Marcus made a decision that would change his life forever. This being, whatever she was, needed help. Crater still smoldered, and he could see more lights approaching in the distance through the clouds. Not rescue craft, but something that made every instinct scream danger. "Can you walk?" he asked. She shook her head weakly. Without hesitation, Marcus gathered her into his arms. She was lighter than he expected, and warmer, as if gentle fire flowed beneath her skin. "My cabin's not far. You'll be safe there." As he carried her away from the wreckage, Marcus didn't notice the small crown-shaped pendant that had fallen from her belongings, its gems pulsing with royal light. Marcus's remote cabin sat nestled in a grove of ancient cedars, miles from the nearest hiking trail. He'd built it himself as a retreat from civilization, never imagining it would become a sanctuary for someone fleeing across the cosmos. Zephanashid whispered her name during the careful journey down the mountain, lay unconscious on his couch, wrapped in his warmest blankets. The strange blue fluid from her wounds had stopped flowing after he'd applied pressure bandages. Though he had no idea if his human first aid would help her alien physiology, for 2 days she drifted in and out of fevered sleep while Marcus kept vigil. He offered her water, broth, anything she could manage. Her crystalline markings pulsed weakly with each heartbeat, sometimes flaring brighter when she seemed to be dreaming. On the 3rd morning, she awakened fully. "You stayed," she said, her voice stronger now, those starlight eyes focused on him with wonder. "Where else would I go?" Marcus set down the cup of tea he'd been preparing. "How are you feeling?" Zafina sat up slowly, testing her strength. The wounds had begun to heal with remarkable speed, leaving only faint silver scars. "Better, much better, thanks to you." She looked around the simple cabin, wooden walls lined with his photography, shelves of books, the stone fireplace crackling warmly. "This place, ... it feels peaceful." Over the following days, they began to know each other. Marcus showed her his photographs, wildlife, landscapes, the beauty he captured through his lens. Zephina's eyes lit up at images of soaring hawks and mountain sunrises. On my world, we have creatures with 6 wings that sing as they fly, she told him, tracing the outline of an eagle photo. The sound can heal broken hearts. What's your world like? Marcus asked. Her expression darkened. Beautiful. Terrible. My people build cities among the clouds, but our hearts have grown cold. With politics and power, she touched the crystalline patterns on her temple. These marks ... they show I was born to rule. But ruling requires sacrifices I wasn't willing to make. She wouldn't say more, but Marcus saw the pain in her eyes. Outside the cabin windows, Captain Vex studied the structure through enhanced optics. The Terran male had been caring for their quarry for 6 days now. Vex's scarred face twisted with disgust. Humans were such sentimental creatures. Orders, Captain? Asked Nix, his tracker, adjusting the targeting array. Vex watched the 2 figures, moving past a window, noting how the humans stayed close to protect the princess. We wait. Let her grow comfortable. Attached. Then we take her and dispose of the human witness. But Nix found himself hesitating as he observed the gentle way the human cared for their target. On their homeworld, such kindness between strangers was rare. Inside the cabin, Zephina was teaching Marcus's words in her language while he prepared dinner. Her laugh like silver bells and wind filled the space as he struggled with the pronunciation. You're getting better, she encouraged, her hand briefly touching his. At the contact, her markings flared brighter. Marcus felt a strange warmth spread through his chest. Neither of them noticed the hunter's repositioning in the shadows outside, or the way Nix's grip tightened uncertainly on his weapon. The peaceful days were ending. The attack came at dawn. Marcus awoke to the sound of his cabin's windows exploding inward. Crimson laser beams sliced through the morning air as armored figures poured through the shattered frames. Zephina screamed, and Marcus threw himself over her as energy blasts scorched the walls above their heads. Princess Zephina of the Astral Confederation, boomed a voice from behind a fearsome mask. Captain Vex stepped through the smoke, his weapon trained on them both. Your uncle sends his regards. I renounce the throne, Zephina cried, her crystalline markings flickering with distress. I want nothing to do with his war. Vex laughed. Coldly. As long as you live, you remain a threat to his rule. The bloodline ends here. Marcus grabbed a heavy poker from the fireplace, his photographer's hands gripping the iron like a weapon. She's under my protection. Primitive Vex sneered. Nix, eliminate the human. But Nix hesitated, his targeting sight wavering. Something about the human's fierce determination reminded him of his own younger brother. Lost in the endless political purges of their homeworld, that moment of hesitation saved Marcus's life. Zephina rose behind him. Suddenly the cabin filled with blinding light. Her crystalline markings blazed like captured stars, and raw energy poured from her hands. The hunter nearest to Marcus was hurled backward through the wall, while another's weapon simply disintegrated in his grasp. The royal powers were supposed to be dormant. They were, Zephina gasped, staring at her own glowing hands in amazement, until someone showed me what it meant to truly care for another. The remaining hunters opened fire, but Marcus was already moving. He tackled Zephina, rolling them both behind his overturned dining table as energy blasts reduced his carefully arranged photographs to ash. Years of hiking had made him strong and quick now. Those skills meant survival. The back window, he whispered urgently. Can you make it? Zephina nodded, though her face was pale from the energy expenditure. Together they crashed through the rear window into the forest beyond. Branches tearing at their clothes as laser fire lit up the trees around them. Behind them, Vex roared orders to his remaining troops. Find them. The princess cannot be allowed to escape. But Nix was thinking of his brother, of all the innocents who had died in the name of political necessity. When Vex wasn't looking, he quietly disabled 2 of the tracking devices. Marcus and Zephina ran deeper into the wilderness. He knew better than anyone. His photographer's eye had mapped every trail, every hiding place. As they paused to catch their breath in a hidden cave, Zephina grasped his hands. I'm sorry, she whispered. I've brought death to your peaceful world. Marcus looked into her, starlight eyes, and saw not an alien princess, but the woman who had laughed at his clumsy attempts at her language, would listen to his stories of Earth's wonders with genuine joy. "Then we'll face it together," he said simply. In the distance, they could hear Vex's hunters crashing through the underbrush, getting closer. They ran through the night, following deer paths and mountain streams that Marcus knew would mask their trail. But Vex's hunters were relentless. Their alien technology giving them advantages that simple woodcraft couldn't overcome. By morning, they were trapped. The ancient stone circle stood on a high plateau, weathered monoliths that had watched over the valley for millennia. Marcus had photographed this place dozens of times, drawn by its mysterious beauty. Now it would be their final stand. "There's nowhere else to run," he said, helping Zafina climb the last rocky slope. She was exhausted, her crystalline markings dim with fatigue. Vex emerged from the tree line with his remaining hunters, weapons raised. "End of the line, princess. Your human pet has led you to your grave." But before Vex could give the order to fire, a new sound split the air, the hum of an approaching spacecraft. A sleek vessel descended from the clouds, bearing symbols that made Zafina's eyes widen with hope. "Ambassador Quillen," she breathed. The ship's boarding ramp lowered, and a tall figure in flowing robes stepped out. Ambassador Quillen was elderly, but regal, with silver hair and kind eyes that held the wisdom of centuries. "Princess Zafina," he said formally, then smiled warmly. "My dear child, half the galaxy has been searching for you," Vex snarled. "The bounty is mine, old man. Stand aside." "I think not." Quillen raised his hand, and suddenly Vex's hunters found their weapons wouldn't respond. "Did you truly think the royal bloodline had no allies?" Marcus watched in amazement as more ships appeared overhead, a small fleet bearing the same symbols. "Ask Quillen's vessel. Your uncle's reign is over," Quillen continued, addressing Zafina. "The people have risen. Call for their true princess to return and lead them." Zafina looked at Marcus, conflict clear in her starlight eyes. I don't know if I can. I've found something here. "Someone who helped you remember what it means to rule with compassion," Quillen said gently, studying Marcus with interest. "The courage this human showed in protecting you has already become legend among our people." Vex made one last desperate lunge, but Zafina's powers flared again, this time with full control. Energy coursed around her like living starlight, and the captain's weapon crumbled to dust in his hands. "Take him," she commanded with new authority. "He will stand trial for his crimes." As Vex was led away in energy restraints, Quillen approached. "Marcus, you saved our princess when all seemed lost. Our people would welcome you as a hero." Marcus looked at Zafina, seeing not just the woman he'd come to love, but the leader she was born to be. Her crystalline markings blazed with renewed purpose, and for the first time she truly looked like royalty. "The choice is yours," she said, softly. "Both of you." The stone circle seemed to hold its breath as Marcus contemplated leaving the only world he'd ever known. But when he looked at Zafina's Princess of the Stars, the decision was already made. "I go where you go," he said. And the ancient stones witnessed the moment when love transcended the boundaries between worlds. 6 months later, Marcus stood on the crystalline balcony of the Astral Palace, watching 3 moons rise over a city built among the clouds. The sight still took his breath, away spears that twisted like frozen music, bridges of pure light, connecting floating platforms, and everywhere the gentle glow of Zafina's people as they went about their evening routines. "Having second thoughts?" Zafina's voice was warm with affection as she joined him, her royal robes shimmering with embedded stars. Marcus turned to face the woman who had become both his love and his queen. The crystalline crown upon her brow pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat, but her eyes held the same wonder he'd fallen in love with in his simple cabin. "Never," he said, taking her hand. "Though I still can't believe your people accepted a human as their princess's consort." Elder Thane was quite persuasive. In council, she laughed. He said any being willing to risk his life for a stranger, to show kindness without expecting reward, possessed the qualities of true nobility. Below them, the city celebrated another successful harvest from the sky gardens. Children with faint, Crystalline markings played in the courtyards while their parents shared the evening meal. Peace had returned to the Astral Confederation under Zephina's compassionate rule. Ambassador Quillen brought news from Earth today, Zephina said, her tone growing more serious. There are others like me out. They're refugees, exiles, those fleeing persecution across the galaxy. He suggests we create a sanctuary program. Marcus nodded thoughtfully, using Earth as a way station. I know some remote places where beings could heal and find their way. Would you lead it? Be our ambassador between worlds? Her starlight eyes searched his face. I know it would mean traveling back and forth time apart. He silenced her with a gentle kiss. Zephina, you gave me a purpose greater than I ever imagined. If we can offer others what you found in my cabin safety, healing, hope then. Yes. That night, they stood together before the Council of Stars, Marcus wearing robes of deep blue marked with Earth's constellations. As he took his oath as the first human guardian of the Astral Confederation, he thought of that morning when he'd been nothing more than a photographer chasing the perfect shot. Do you, Marcus, Veil of Earth, swear to protect both worlds with equal dedication? Elder Thane intoned. I do, Marcus replied, his voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. When the ceremony ended, Zephina led him to a private garden, where Earth's flowers now grew alongside alien blooms, a symbol of two worlds learning to exist in harmony. Any regrets? She asked again, this time with a smile. Marcus looked up at the alien stars, then at the woman whose love had transformed him from a solitary observer of life into an active participant in something magnificent. Only that I almost missed you, he said, drawing her close as starships departed for distant worlds, carrying the news that Earth had joined the community of planets. In the morning, he would return to his homeworld to establish the sanctuary program. But tonight, he was exactly where he belonged, between two worlds, protecting both, with the Princess of the Stars in his arms. Their love had become a bridge across the cosmos, and Marcus Vale, former wildlife photographer, was now the guardian of wonders he had never dared to dream.